All right, we're closing in on 2024, and I have a question for you guys. Are tube amps still top dog as far as tone and feel? Are they still the epitome of cool? I mean, what are you guys playing nowadays? The Fender Tone Master Pro just come out, so that's Fender's little pedal deal, little multi-effects amp simulator deal. You've had the neural stuff, the Line 6 stuff, you have Kemper, you have all kinds of various plugins for your laptop and your PC. There's so many different amp modelers out there nowadays. And you've had solid state stuff since the 60s. That's when solid state amps come out. Now tube amps, the technology has been out since the early 1900s. But even though we've had solid state stuff since the 60s, I'm not really sure that in this 60 years that they've really knocked tube amps off of that pedestal. I don't really think they've dethroned tube amps. And now don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted here. I'm not saying that solid state amps and amp modelers are trash. I'm not saying that they're no good. They've come an extremely long way. And even back in 75, for instance, like when the Roland Jazz Chorus came out, as far as I'm concerned, that is one of the most pristine, glassy, clean amps that there has ever been. Some of the coolest stuff ever has been recorded and made with a jazz chorus, and they're still being used nowadays. And there's all kinds of other cool solid state stuff out there. And it's just kind of a matter of opinion, I guess. But I'm just kind of wanting to weigh in on this little argument here as far as tube versus solid state versus amp modeler. And just to kind of get a feel, see where you guys are at on this stuff. Now, I totally understand if you live in an apartment or something and you can't just jam out all night long on a big old Marshall stack. I mean, that makes sense. You might need to hook up through a USB interface and throw some headphones on to practice. You know, that makes complete sense to me, and you can do basically anything. There's so many different sounds. The sky's basically the limit with what you can do with some of this stuff. If you're in your church band and you need to keep that stage volume down, that makes completely sense to me too. I am in a church band, and I actually use a Walrus Audio ACS1 for my amp sounds. It's just my guitar to my pedal board, straight to the front of house, and there it is. And I'm very happy with that tone. And as far as that amp goes, that amp in a pedal, that Walrus Audio ACS1, it gets me like 90% there. And it's very close to kind of what a tube amp sounds and feels like. But I'm a millennial, and I'm sure a lot of you guys might feel like this. We might be some of the last of a dying breed that actually have a soft spot in our hearts for tube amps. We kind of have a certain respect, a certain love for them that maybe some of this younger generation doesn't fully understand. We grew up still listening to the greats, you know, that 70s, 80s rock and stuff that basically if you listen to any rock or blues, metal for that matter, for the most part, it was on a tube amp. Now, that's not to say everything was, but a lot of the good stuff that you can think of from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, it was played on a tube amp. And that's just how it was. There is a certain feel that you get when you plug into an amp, and that's mainly when you're in the room with it playing. As far as I'm concerned, the tube amp is extremely difficult to rival when you're talking about the raw sound that you get in the room, whether that's in a concert or you're just at your house jamming in a room with the tube amp cranked. There's a certain feel to it, a snappiness, a certain tightness that just happens with the tube amp that's kind of hard to describe. And if you're a part of this younger generation that hasn't ever experienced a tube amp, you really should try to get your hands on one and jam one a little bit just to see what all the fuss is about. But I just kind of wanted to weigh in and see where everybody's at on this matter. As far as I'm concerned, the tube amp has not been dethroned yet. I love my tube amps. And I have another video that I just did on my Vox AC15, which is my current weapon of choice for my band that I'm gigging with. And I love that little amp. I own a Vox AC30, a Peavey Classic 50. I have my old JCM 900, which is what you heard at the beginning of this video. I have a Mesa Boogie Stiletto Deuce that I've had since my metal days. And I don't know, it's just difficult to match what the tube amp can do. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Are you like me and you love your tubes? Are you a guy that is just flat out, hey, I plug into my laptop and I make music, I do all kinds of mixing, mastering, I do it all on my laptop? That's cool too. Maybe you're 70 years old and you're like, dude, I didn't even know there's nothing but tube amps. I swear by them. That's it. That's all there is. But that's this video. Just let me know, spark up a conversation. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys are jamming out there. See you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe.